on the screen, now it's time. Synthesis complete.
Back once again. I think we're gonna play more of that Fallen Leaf game. Fabledom was fairly fun. Starting to get a management sim game for a little while. Been playing a lot of them. So I gotta. I like this wavy web surf channel. So we're gonna watch some of that. Just gonna hang out. So he has the story for Rapping for Jesus, which is a it's a pretty funny video if you haven't seen it, and it's the real story behind it. So I guess we'll look at that. Let me get up Fallen Leaf here. What, Orion? You're just being so needy lately. What? What? You want to be on screen? There you go. Now what? 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 Where's my game? Did I not boot up? Game? What the fuck is happening? Why is my shit so slow? Oh, there it goes. Okay, weird. Options. I'll pick that up. Oh, that's fine. Okay. I don't know if that's good or bad. I'm gonna turn the music off. Okay, let's go. Why not? Oh shit, that's loud.
I ask you all to tell me who or what you want me to talk about next, and lately a lot of you have been doing exactly that. It looks like the YouTube algorithm has been recommending rapping for Jesus to a lot of you because you really want me to talk about it. Well, boys,
it's pretty funny.
Rapping for Jesus was uploaded to YouTube back on February 5th of 2013, presumably by a man named Brian Spinney. The video itself is a music video which was supposedly filmed over a decade ago for a community church and features the church's pastor and his wife performing this unapologetically white and Christian-themed rap song. Now, there are some pretty ridiculous bars in this song, but the one that everyone remembers is this one.
I gave my sermon an urban kick. My rhymes are fly, my beats are sick. My crew is big and it keeps getting bigger. That's because Jesus Christ is my nigga.
This video is really something out of the Tim and Eric playbook with
Yep.
the VHS aesthetic to it and the overall absurdity of it. Rapping for Jesus has become crazy popular over the years, garnering over 59 million views since its upload day back in 2013. And I think if there was such a thing as a
so
YouTube
funny.
Hall of Fame, this video belongs right there smack dab in the middle. But with that said, as time has passed, there have been more and more people questioning the authenticity of this video. Like, was this really recorded for some
Which is
church
why
music
I am
video?
watching
Was this
it.
like an intentional project? You gotta understand that most of the comedic value of Rapping for Jesus relies on the fact that the viewer is made to believe that it is actually a real low-budget cringe music video created completely unironically for some random church and it just got leaked onto the internet. But is this really the case? Because there's plenty of evidence out there that suggests that this entire music video was a carefully calculated internet shock project
I
created to go
figure
viral.
that's what it
So today I
is.
wanna
It's
share
still
with you
funny
all
as
the
shit though.
inconsistencies when it comes to the backstory of this video. And hopefully we can get to the bottom of the real story behind Rapping for Jesus.
Oh shit.
Real quick,
I didn't
before
know
we get
this hurt
started,
me.
I want to thank The Ridge for sponsoring yet another one of my videos. They make these sleek metallic wallets that go in your front pocket. The one I just showed you was the aluminum gunmetal version, but there's tons of different metals and colors to choose from on their website. 'Tis the holiday season and a Ridge wallet makes a perfect gift. I've got a 10% off link for you guys to use in the description box. That's ridge.com/surf and use code SURF to save 10% off your order, and that includes free worldwide shipping. So check that out and let's get on to the video. To begin, let's take a look at Rapping for Jesus and deduce its surmised backstory based only off of the content itself, Brian Spinney's YouTube channel, and the metadata associated with the video. And what we will find are the elements that make up the commonly accepted backstory associated with this video. On January 15, 2013, Brian Spinney's channel is created. His About section reads as follows. proud father of two, loving husband, and a devoted Christian.
There's no way
Raised.
that's real.
The channel remains dormant until February 5th when Rapping for Jesus is uploaded. This was an innocently written description. I helped my pastor make this music video when I was in high school. Thought you guys might get a kick out of it. May the Lord bless and keep you. Now let's look at the video content itself. The video begins with an image of what is supposed to be the West Dubuque Second Church of Christ. We are also told the title of the song and that it is a product of the church's youth outreach program. Moments later, the song begins and small text establishes the supposed names of the performers in the song. These two performers being Pastor Jim Kolerick and his wife, who is referred to Miss Kolerick here, but her name is revealed to be Mary Sue later in the video. This corner text also states that the music video was filmed and edited by the uploader, Brian Spinney. Now, the actual lyrical content in this video is irrelevant to establishing the backstory. You guys already know the gamer word that is spoken. At the end of the video, a call to action inviting viewers to join the church's outreach program is shown, and a link to the church's website is displayed. On the website's homepage, we find a message written from Pastor Jim thanking us for visiting the website. The rest of the website remains incomplete outside of the contact portion and the news section. The news section is what is really important for the narrative. It reads as follows. June 15, 2004. Sadly, our church has closed its doors. It's been an honor and a privilege to bring Christ's message to the West Dubuque community for all these years. May the Lord bless you and keep you always, dear friends. Jim. So naturally, this implies that the website is pretty old, and further implies that Rapping for Jesus was recorded quite some time ago. And when you consider the VHS artifact-filled quality of the video, this kind of makes sense. So to summarize, if we analyze this information and presented at face value, the viewer is made to think that Rapping for Jesus was some bizarre, poorly thought out church outreach production filmed in the 90s or early 2000s. And good old Brian Spinney decided to pull it out of his video vault one day and threw it on YouTube. And it would end up going viral just by complete accident. An effective narrative, but
accident.
Is it true?
Yeah.
In short, no. Rather, I'm almost 100% certain that this was a carefully orchestrated viral hit perpetrated by someone using Brian Spinney as a creative alias. I guess I gotta prove myself here, so let's do a bit of cross-examination and prove why this story they've given to us doesn't add up. I want to start off with the really damning evidence. Let's start off by discussing the questionable existence of this West Dubuque Second Church of Christ. So there's no church in Iowa that goes by this name, but it's not game over yet, because if you remember, the church's website stated the church closed its doors back in June 2004.
Correct.
So yeah, maybe it existed at one point, but it's just shut down now. But what if I told you the website lied? Fortunately, we have the luxury of being able to look up when a website domain was registered. And what do you know, the West Dubuque Second Church of Christ domain was registered not in 2004, but January 15th of 2013. That's right, this website was created around the time of Rapping for Jesus' release. It was intentionally designed to masquerade as a genuine church website created in the early 2000s. There's literally no way to explain why someone would retroactively create a website for a church that supposedly closed its doors almost a decade prior. This church was 100% fake,
but I want to believe it
as a companion piece for the Rapping for Jesus video. And I've got another spicy nugget for you here. You know what was also created on January 15th of 2013? Brian Spinney's YouTube channel. After this discovery, it becomes clear that on January 15th of 2013, Brian Spinney, or whoever the person is behind this video, was carefully setting the stage and creating the universe for his Rapping for Jesus video, which was to be completed and released just under a month later. The fake church discovery alone, in my opinion, silences any argument that suggests that Rapping for Jesus wasn't carefully put.
But I want it to be real.
The date of the fake church's website creation and Brian's channel
Don't
creation
take this away
being
from
on
me.
the
I
same
have so
day
little.
is too much to be passed off as sheer coincidence. Alright, enough about the church. Let's talk about the performers in the song. Pastor Jim Kolerick and his wife, Mary Sue Kolerick. These people simply don't exist. I've looked far and wide. Facebook people searches, nothing. White page name lookups for Iowa, even the entire United States, nothing. I also checked the obituaries for good measure and even went back and did all of this searching with Jim Kolerick's name being James Kolerick because sometimes people go by Jim and James interchangeably. Nothing. There is literally no digital footprint left by these two individuals. And before you say, oh, Wavy, maybe they're just boomers and they've never used the internet so they don't have a digital footprint. Look up your grandparents on white pages. I guarantee you their name will pop up. If you're a person who has ever had an address, you're in the system. So after discovering this, it's clear to me that these were simply made up names for these actors to use for their characters in Rappin' for Jesus. I mean, come on, the wife's name is Mary Sue. That's just too perfect. Furthermore, using fake names would be a pretty smart idea when you consider the lyrical subject matter of this song.
Sure.
Yeah, we think it's funny, but that chorus could have gotten them in trouble if their real names got out. I don't know, maybe the NAACP would come after them. But yeah, it's clear these are made up, fabricated names, and everybody involved.
Don't take this away from me, Webby.
Remained anonymous.
Or
And
whatever
that
your name
concludes
is.
Cross-examination. Future Wavy Web Surf here. I
Wavy.
wanted to share another piece of
Wavy
evidence
Web
with you
Surf.
guys that I discovered when I was editing this video. And this piece of evidence pretty much proves that the video was created in early 2013 or late 2012 and wasn't recorded in the 90s or 2000s like the story wants us to believe. So when I was editing, this image of what looks like college students sitting on a set of stairs caught my eye. And I decided to crop it and reverse Google image search it to see if anyone else had ever used this photo. And well, what I found was that a lot of colleges
They
actually
did.
use this photo on their websites. And I don't know the exact date of when this photo was published to the internet, but it began to see its first use in late 2012 and early 2013. It looks like whoever made Rappin' for Jesus nabbed this photo off
shit,
of Google
secret.
and just put filters over it so it looks a lot older than it really is. So what I'm getting at here is that there's no way Rappin' for Jesus is like a decades-old project because it uses a stock photo from the early 2010s. But yeah, just thought I would share that with you guys. So in conclusion, the church is fake, the website is fake, the website and the
Ruining
YouTube
my
channel were created
fragile,
on the same day in
like,
2013.
shell of the world.
Jim Kolerick and Mary Sue Kolerick aren't real people, and Jim's not a pastor. At this point, I think we can say without reasonable doubt that this video wasn't some accidental viral anomaly. It was rather a methodically planned out and galaxy brain piece of satire put together by a very talented content creator who goes by the name of Brian Spinney. What am I missing? Am I missing something here? Are you guys not on the
My
same page?
feelings.
The care that went into
I need it
the
to be
mythos
real for some
surrounding this
reason.
Video is admirable, as there are still Reddit threads popping up to this day that are debating if this thing was real or staged. Well,
regardless,
we've discovered today, it appears
it's
as if
funny.
the latter is
Regardless.
true. So wrapping up, what we've discussed
Funny
today,
regardless.
in my opinion, doesn't take away anything from this video.
Yeah.
Real or fake, it will always be a legendary piece of YouTube content. And hopefully one day we'll get another piece of content from Brian Spinney that's just as good or even better. And if you would like to see this happen, I invite you to support Brian Spinney on the Bandcamp page he created for Rappin' for Jesus back in 2013. The link is below in the description box. So guys, that concludes today's episode of Wavy Webster Goes Ace Attorney on Rappin' for Jesus. Let me know what you thought about this.
That was good. I mean, it's disappointing, but who cares, right? Funny is funny. The Dark World of Megachurch. Ooh, I gotta watch this one.
I was raised as a Catholic, but I wouldn't really describe myself as religious today. I had never heard of things like megachurches or televangelism or the prosperity gospel. That was until I stumbled
you sweet
across
summer
this
child.
interview.
Yep. Kenna Copeland.
You've got this journalist that is confronting this guy called Kenneth Copeland.
You said that you don't
He's a
want to
fucking
you
monster.
don't want to get into a tube with a bunch of demons. Do you really believe that human beings are demons?
No, I do not. And don't you ever say I do.
Son of a.
We wrestle not with flesh and blood, principalities and powers.
Copeland is being confronted about his purchase of a Gulfstream jet. And it turns out that jet is just one of a fleet of jets that he owns, along with a boathouse, a mansion, and his very own airport.
It's like Righteous
It is
Gemstones,
supposedly worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
which is one of the best TV shows ever made, by the way.
this entire thing is a rabbit hole.
God damn. Fucking Walmart on Black Friday. Holy shit.
They're extremely green. They don't need matches. They don't need jets.
God told me to have that. Any religious leader who speaks the word of God, who has more than one suit, while someone has no clothes, is a cop-out.
You know, Larry, I just don't see it that way.
Joel Osteen, he's a fucking moron.
How many people could be fed? Well, how many homeless could have places to sleep?
Evangelism is still thriving in this country. If you were willing to pay the price, you could talk directly to God.
Yep.
When I remember my own personal experiences inside of a church, what comes to mind was definitely not this. At times it's like a concert, and when the preachers come to preach, it's like a celebrity is just taken to the stage. Everyone is worshiping.
It's a fucking show, man.
Joined in their faith and
Creepy. Weird shit.
is something called a by definition,
we have like two less than a 10-minute drive from here.
But when we think
it's fucking weird.
Or forms of it, there's normally a distinction between spiritual duty and materialistic desires. Now, I'm not a theologian and I'm not going to pretend to be one, but even I remember verses from the Bible when it came to wealth and building riches, that it wasn't viewed favorably upon. But if my memory is correct, then what was I witnessing in this interview with Copeland? Moreover, some of these preachers. So you've got this preacher, Kenneth Copeland, who founded Kenneth Copeland Ministries along with his wife, Gloria. They own a $7 million home, a fleet of jets, and the Eagle Mountain International Church has a membership in the thousands, not to mention their television and online broadcasting. Then there's Jesse Duplantis, who sat with Copeland as they both justified their purchases of private jets.
And then the second one I purchased was in January 2004.
Benny Hinn, who claims to be able to perform miracles.
Yeah, I got a violin. It's in great condition. Too bad you can't play it. It's hard to play violin.
Joel Osteen, a
I have
very
a violin.
figure, especially in Houston, Texas, where his church resides. He's authored books that have been on New York Times bestsellers.
Yeah, fuck him.
Celebrities like Kanye West. Creflo Dollar, who has created fundraisers for his private.
Yeah, his stupid little bitch. Like whenever Houston was flooding, like 4 years ago or something, 3-4 years ago, he shut his doors to the people that needed help. He's a fucking monster. Joel Osteen.
Private jets, whose ministry owns 2 Rolls Royces and expensive real estate.
All these people are monsters.
Which is called Preachers and Sneakers, and it's literally just preachers next to the cost of the clothing that they are wearing. Something just isn't right. I keep asking myself,
yeah, no
how,
shit.
right? How is it possible to be this braggadocious about your wealth as a preacher and have your followers who not only are okay with it, but help to fund it?
Because they're like, God wants you to spread whatever. It's
prosperity gospel.
Yeah.
What we're looking at is
exactly.
a movement that has seemingly found its way inside of America's biggest mega churches and being taught by its biggest preachers. The word of faith movement is its name, and its teachings are often referred to as the prosperity gospel. It's a simple idea. God wants you to be prosperous through your finances, your health, your marriage, and relationships. In fact, those are things that belong to you through your faith, if you are willing to receive it. The prosperity gospel often refers to its believers as little gods, the idea being that we were made in the image of God and therefore possess a level of divinity within us that allows us to bring into existence the prosperity that we've been promised.
You are God, little g. You are God because you came from God.
And your DNA and Jesus' DNA are exactly. You're exactly like him.
It sounds amazing. So how do I
DNA.
How do I access this
sure they know about
divine power
DNA
that I
back
supposedly have? Well,
you gotta pay money.
It starts with your faith.
But if you'll stay in faith, there will come a point where God will say, enough is enough. It's payback time.
I know you love the Lord. So you qualify for prosperity.
Next, you have the act of tithing. The initial concept of tithing is the idea that you give 1/10 of your wealth in some way, shape, or form to a religious organization. Most houses of worship are going to rely on the donation of their congregation in order to continue their operations, especially mega churches. It's
disgusting.
But tithing, through the teachings of the prosperity gospel, introduces a, should we call it a plot twist?
Tithing lays the foundation for financial success and abundance.
Tithing is the way for recession or depression to bypass you.
Here, Stephanie from Maryland writes, I sent in my first fruits offering. 2 weeks later, I received, watch this, $2,400.
So now it isn't just about donating your money to a church. It becomes a case where you're exchanging your money in return for actual prosperity. You often hear some of these prosperity preachers refer to it as sowing your seed. The implication is pretty obvious to anyone who is watching. You give us some of your money and in return the value will be given back to you in some way, shape or form. It's the harvest.
I want you to go to the phone.
It's so gross preying off of people like that.
Now remember,
Be set free from alcohol.
I'm going to ask you to sow an exceptional and uncommon seed of $1,000.
Click on that donation button to sow $1,144.
So God is giving you the harvest, and the harvest of the seed you sow. You can't expect a harvest if you don't sow seed, spiritual, physical, or mind.
It's surreal, and it generates a lot of money.
Yeah, no shit. Those churches are insane, too.
Took possession of a Gulfstream jet, which was funded all thanks to the donors of his church. In fact, KCM wrote a blog post thanking their followers for helping them, quote, harvest the Gulfstream. But our work is not done. To which the blog then proceeds to remind their followers that they still need $17 million more, which is used with a quote sowing towards the construction of a new hangar, upgrading the existing runway, and purchasing special Gulfstream maintenance equipment. Or how about Creflo Dollar's infamous sermon, to which he tells his congregation to help him fundraise towards a private jet, all to the response of cheers and applause from the audience.
Yeah.
I want to believe God for a $65 million plane.
It's so fucking gross. Not a big fan of religion, but this shit is like even worse.
It's celebrated, and prosperity preachers will obviously say that this aids in their quest to spread their message across to different countries.
If I flew commercial, I'd have to stop 65% of what I'm doing.
Conveniently, that message obviously allows them to make even more in donations. But these preachers, they don't just live lavish, right? They put it on full display.
You think Jesus Christ would roll around in a Rolls Royce?
I think he would. Let's get a close-up of Gloria's ring.
Where am I looking? Right here.
You fly in a private
Jesus.
plane.
Yes, I do.
You're staying right now in one of the fanciest hotels in New York
Yes,
City.
I am.
You
I
wear
got an off-brand
very nice
controller, it's
clothing.
true.
So
This thing has been pretty good to me so far.
The wealth of these preachers, they're not seen as gross or hypocritical. In fact, they're seen as proof that the teachings work. It's seen as them actually practicing what they preach. The extravagant lifestyle, that's not a mistake or a flaw. It's a feature of the prosperity gospel. Many of these preachers will say that the funds that they receive are used only for ministry purposes.
Yeah, we're not gonna be doing
for
that.
example, says that he doesn't receive any salary from his ministry,
hate
and all
him.
the money he makes comes from his book sales. Look, in some ways, I don't really care if a ministry wants to buy a private jet. It looks optically hypocritical, but I'd rather let theologians argue over the contradictions that those actions have with actual religious texts. I'm more interested in how the money is generated, and it doesn't get more unethical of a price than it does with the prosperity gospel.
if you're accustomed to giving $10, go to 20. Go up to 70, 80, 100. Raise that amount and watch what God
Multiple
will do,
PhDs.
because
Don't you stop sowing offerings. Well, they won't let us go to church. Well, email it in there, text and give or something. You get that tithe in that church, you get the offering in that church, and then you go home and you do what we're supposed to do.
This idea is no different than the law of attraction and manifestation circles that claim that you can use your mind to manifest any desire.
Sorry, Jim.
In fact, it's been argued that the prosperity theology does have similar
Jim is employee of the month.
philosophy that became popular in America in the 19th century. When I look at Osteen, for example, I don't necessarily see a preacher. I see someone who's more akin to
Shut
a
up,
self-help
Jim.
motivational speaker that uses God as a proxy.
I'm confident. I'm secure.
You never have a right to complain.
Take a look, for example, at Osteen's New York Times bestseller book, Your Best Life Now, which is filled with all of these kinds of ideas. So here's a quote from the very first chapter, Enlarging Your Vision. It's not God's lack of resources or your lack of talent that prevents you from prospering. You're all the wrong things that can keep you from God's best. And the book is riddled with these similar messages of becoming what you believe and the power of your words. It's a book like many others in the self-help genre. Reflection isn't really that hard to see. But it takes sowing your seed message in the prosperity theology, the idea that you
Gross.
can donate to a church and in return you can pay off your rent, pay off your credit card. This seems particularly stomach churning. And now this is a message that is being exported
Not today,
from
Stucky.
America to Europe and Africa.
If
So
that
one of
is your
Nigeria's
name.
wealthiest pastors is this guy called David Oyedepo, who is said to be worth $150 million.
We are not asking you to give so that you can be blessed.
Is that the guy that's like, why are you gay?
Some fellow said, okay, I was worth $150 million. I said, that's an insult. $150 million, that's an insult. $150 million is small.
They don't know what they're doing. You know, a big part of me believes that Copeland and Dollar, they truly believe their intentions are good. Even for hundreds of millions of dollars, I can't imagine someone knowingly deceive and hurt
Oh, I can.
without just driving themselves insane in the long run. Like, type of cognitive dissonance just seems too much to bear. But at the end
No,
of the
that's
day,
exactly
I'm
what they're doing, dude.
never gonna know what their intentions are. You know, I
Like
can
a
only
million
ever
%.
see what the consequences of their actions are. And trust me, you haven't seen the worst of it. Benny Hinn. Hinn is probably most well known for what he calls his miracle crusades. Hinn claims to be able to perform miracles. He'll bring people to the stage with all sorts of
Amazing Randy will
the touch of his hand, they will
fucking show that
running through them
to be
as they fall
false.
back, and the catchers will catch them as they fall.
You had Parkinson's for 15 years. Who are you?
People in the audience will cheer. There are others who are stood there in awe with their hands raised in worship. And Benny Hinn isn't the only one that does this, right? This is a really common practice amongst the prosperity gospel circles.
Glory to God. You're not bound to this chair. The day will come, you'll walk out of it. In the name of Jesus.
What is it that we're
So
really
weird, man.
Is this an actual
Fucking
miracle?
deranged.
I would know.
You got a baby. Oh, that's a lot of. Well, I guess we've no choice but to hold on to
Is
him.
the nephew of Benny Hinn, and he's worked with his family, sometimes as a catcher himself. In 2017,
That's weird.
Kosti Hinn came forward with a testimony of his time spent in Benny Hinn's ministry.
The responsibility is to look really good, look really blessed, sell the narrative, make all the money, and say, look at my life. If you give to this, if you follow it, if you obey it, and if you do what I say, God will do it for you too.
He described the lifestyle that he had whilst working with his family. He lived in a 10,000 square foot mansion surrounded by a private gate, drove 2 Mercedes-Benz vehicles, vacationed in exotic destinations, and shopped at the most expensive stores. Kosti Hinn really believed in what he was doing. But he only had doubts when he started finding contradictions in what he was teaching and what he was finding in the Bible. Grace
Oh, no
Rudolph
shit.
was 8 years old when she was featured on an episode of CBC's The Fifth Estate in 2005, an episode that was specifically investigating Hinn's ministry.
If you got a miracle, what would you want it to be? Just walk. Is that what you want? Just to walk.
Dude, that's so like.
Grace's mother brings her daughter to one of Hinn's miracle crusades. And
It's
just
so
as she's about to come to the
exploitative.
stage,
It's like
she's intercepted
fucking
by local
gross.
screamers who tell her to step aside.
Yeah.
According to that documentary and an insider, the job of the screeners is to screen out the people that are severely sick and ill. There's the story of Justin Peters, who is an evangelist himself and was born with cerebral palsy. During the Fifth Estate's investigation into his ministry, they attempt to get Peters to go on stage as well, and just like Grace, he is also intercepted by the screeners.
Our hidden camera shows Justin being stopped by the screener. Watch as Kim whispers something to her. Then Justin is told to step aside.
In another documentary from 2001, HBO were given full access to Hymn's events and were even allowed to follow several cases of supposed miracle healings. These are people that actually managed to get onto the stage and claim they've been healed. In one instance, the crew follows a boy called Ashneal and his parents as they're desperate to have their child healed by one of Hymn's miracles.
We expecting miracles.
Just preying upon, like, desperate people. It's so fucked up.
Massive brain tumors have reduced him to a vegetative state.
We believe in God, we have faith, and there's nothing impossible for God.
Well, and God microwave a burrito so hot even he can't eat it.
Have the crowd healed by him himself. Hin gets the crowd to raise their hands, and then he places his hand on the face and says,
The Lord's gonna touch you, young boy.
Days after the event, and Ashneal still wasn't healed.
I wonder why.
I know it's
You know, I can stake my life on many words. And God
This shit
helped me
pisses
last
me
night
off.
at the Colosseum Center there.
I didn't think they would get into like this faith healing stuff. I guess I should have known,
Recently, I watched an event from Kenneth Copeland's Eagle Mountain Church, where it's called Miracles on a Mountain. It's another miracle healing service, and in this instance, it was hosted by this evangelist called Billy Burke. And at one point, someone is brought out from the crowd, and I thought, hang on, I recognize this guy. It was Big Nick, who, for those of you that don't know, was a member of the popular social media group The Vox, which was headed by David Dobrik. At the event, Nick tells Billy Burke about his blind eye.
I'm blind in my left eye as well. I know that, you told me that.
Billy then attempts to cure his eye.
Fuck.
After all the theatrics, Billy then starts to wiggle his finger around. And then nothing yet. And Billy hears that and he continues like trying to help him. And then when he realizes it doesn't work, he then just tells Nick, recite chapters of the Bible every night for your eye to be cured.
John 7:9, confession starting tonight and every night. You hear me? Tonight and every night. Before you go to bed. You ready? I was blind and
the crowd cheers. It's like the miracle actually happened.
Yeah.
It's been about 7 months since that event took place, and I've looked through Big Nick's social media account, and there's no indication that his eye is healed since the event.
But what they're gonna
What are we witnessing?
what they're gonna say is like he wasn't doing it right or something. That's how they get around that.
These people aren't just actors, which I really don't think that they are. What is actually happening? Consider this. If what we're seeing is really a miracle, why don't these people go to hospitals and heal people there? Why do they need the
exactly.
lights and the cameras and the atmosphere and the theatrics to be able to do what they do? In 2011, Darren Brown ran this TV special program called Miracles for Sale. In this special program, Darren Brown, who is this self-described mentalist and illusionist, takes this ordinary individual called Nathan and attempts to turn him into a faith healer performing miracles in front of an audience. The idea behind the program was to expose the fact that what is happening here are not miracles, that it's just a product of psychology, the power of suggestion, and misdirection. Now, some aspects of faith healing are just pure trickery. A good example of this is the infamous leg-growing trick.
He-Man leaf, according to the graph, the number is going up smoothly. Actually goes down to that.
Finding individuals who supposedly have one leg that is shorter than the other, and then miraculously white will begin to grow out that person's leg right before our very eyes.
In Jesus' name, left leg, I command you grow. Right now, in Jesus' name.
But that's not how like anything works.
Exact
So
trick, because it's not a miracle. The leg growing trick is infamously used by charlatans throughout history. In fact, a quick Google or YouTube search will demonstrate how it can be done in several ways, one of which involves shifting the other person's shoes to make it seem as though a leg is being grown. If you speed up the clip of him performing this miracle and you just play it back and forth, you can literally see what Todd White is doing. But a big part of faith healing isn't just tricks like this. In fact, a lot of it is rooted in the part of who we are as people. By the end of Darren Brown's special, Nathan is able to perform in front of a small audience of believers, and you can see that he too is able to, with just the touch of his hand, bring people to fall back as though they were touched by God themselves. To understand how Nathan, who is an ordinary guy, versus Benny Hinn, who claims to be able to perform miracles, could do what they're doing, you have to understand the power and what they're creating in their shows. From the very moment it begins, you're joined by a crowd of people, united by a particular cause or belief. There are those in the crowd who are already in pain, who feel as though something is missing in their life. When they're brought together, there is a sense of oneness, of wholeness, and unity. So think about how
it's kind of like a placebo effect kind of thing.
Joined by a united cause.
It's like group think, group mentality, that kind of stuff.
He wants to heal you because he loves you. You don't have to pay for it. Just ask for it.
The music rises and falls, stirring a wave of experiences and emotions amongst the crowd. Then you begin to create the expectancy for what is about to come.
All things are possible to him.
You keep the crowd in this heightened, aroused state of mind. And as the crowd is ripened with sensibility, the faith healer acts almost like a conductor for the orchestra of experiences that people are going through. A leader amongst a crowd of people in a hypnotic, trance-like state is something
got funny money, but I'm not laughing.
The psychological effect of. Then the healer begins preaching their message.
But don't look for the healing, look for the healer. Whatsoever you shall ask, that will I do.
The crowd is full of ecstasy. The joy in the audience is a deep feeling as though you're becoming a new person. You're connecting with
you're
that of which
like
is
belonging to something, right? It's very powerful.
Lays their hand on you or shouts, you feel God's touch with it. You've been suggested and primed to believe that that is the case. And in being so connected to the crowd around you, the effects of social conformity are bound to take place. In this trance-like state, you go along with what the preacher's suggestions are. You do what you are expected
We're
to
about
do.
to
It's no different
fucking
to
kill
what a stage
Mr.
hypnotist
Stucky
does.
here.
The more suggestible you are, the more belief you have, the easier it becomes. And what's even more interesting is that in this heightened state of emotions, of euphoria, of adrenaline, it's very possible to feel symptoms being alleviated.
Yep.
It's possible, even for someone who is in a wheelchair, to momentarily be able to get up and walk around. But what we are really witnessing is just a moment of mind over body. The placebo effect is a well-known
Hey, that's what I said.
When a patient's condition changes after receiving a treatment that by no means should have changed their condition. For example, if a patient expects a pill to do something and is told by the doctor that it will help them, even if that pill is just a sugar pill that won't do anything, it is possible for your own brain chemistry to cause effects similar to what medication might have caused. The key word here is expect, because a placebo effect is mostly theorized to be caused by our expectations around a given treatment, expectations that we derive from culture and society. That's why a placebo that is given as an injection rather than a pill can be more effective. Or when you're given 2 placebo pills to take every day rather than 1, it can also be more effective. Because culturally, we perceive the latter of these treatments to have a bigger effect on us. That belief in expectancy can be so powerful as to have physiological effects on our bodies. And
Fucking sine wave Medusa pattern. God damn it.
The one that invokes their very own belief in a higher spiritual being like God, surrounded by others who share that very belief. What we are seeing is a placebo. This is why you'll never see any miracle healer or somebody that believes in the Lord be able to do anything that is beyond a placebo. You'll never see them be able to restore the limb of
Oh, we got Armored Armadillo over here.
Someone comes out of a wheelchair. He walks walks around, runs around. And hours later, they're back in the future again.
The problem is, however, that those who attend the event and whose problems and illnesses are not healed at the event or return after the event start to blame themselves. That for some reason, God didn't want to heal them. They didn't have enough faith. Remember Ashneal from the history of 7 weeks after attending the Miracle Crusade, he passed away.
Shit.
Did you ever, in one of your worst moments, think that you must have done something wrong in the eyes of God to deserve
Yes. I know this, it is very hard. Maybe he didn't make it for me or from my parents, because that not I hate it.
From church.
It doesn't square with the Bible at all.
And wonder, surely there's justice to this story. Surely somebody takes the fall. Surely there's a to it. Surely. In September
What the fuck?
2019, Benny Hill comes out with quite the astonishing announcement.
I'm sorry to say that prosperity has gone a little crazy. I think it's an offense to the Lord. It's an offense to say, give $1,000. I think it's an offense to the Holy Spirit. Pay the price in the gospel. I'm done with it.
Benny Hinn had decided to leave the prosperity gospel. Hallelujah. Right?
One of the best lessons about the Christian people is say, watch what they go back, watch what they give up, and watch what they go back.
Okay, so it's time to get to the Lord's work. It's time to sow seed in the Lord's work. God can bless you. Lord, now it's time to give to the Lord work, because giving guarantees our financial protection.
The problem is that once you generate that type of following, business, and reputation that Hinn has, changing the ways becomes almost impossible.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's true too, I guess.
The reality is that those
Of course they are. I need that money, man. Kill it! Oh god! Hey! Let's go.
Theology overall. You'll probably find people claiming that they have seen miracles happen, or that by sowing their seed, prosperity really was given to them. And I'm not delivering
It
any
was the
message.
mayor.
Prosperity theology receives a lot of
What would
criticism
compel a mayor to
inside of
commit
Christianity
crimes?
and
Money?
outside.
Hey man, you know you're.
It's a weak mortal with conflicting interests like any other.
The message isn't for people who are sinning. It's really difficult
It's
to
Zan
stop
Kalos.
the only thing you can do is go to those that
Sole
believe
judge
in
of the
it,
world,
steer them
ordained
away
by the
from things
angels
that happen.
themselves.
The booming business of prosperity theology and faith healing will continue to flourish.
I don't know what you
So is this
feel
a good guy?
about the prosperity gospel, the health, wealth, and prosperity gospel, but I'll tell you what
Just
I
like
feel
Willis
about
said, that was Zankalos was supposed to dislike him, but Petal, he's evil.
and it's being exported from this
Taking out the
country
bad guys isn't that
to
good?
Asia,
Don't you remember Willis said if we
selling
don't
a
steal
bill of
Zankalos,
goods to the poorest
the
of
world
the
as we
poor?
know it won't exist
Believe
anymore?
this message,
Willow's
your
kind of
pigs
weird.
won't die. Your wife won't have miscarriages.
Pigs won't
You
die?
have rings on your fingers and coats on your back. That's coming out of America. The people that are
Kind of locked up this baby. This is an
Piper is
evil
just
baby.
one of the many preachers
Yeah.
and ministries that actively try and combat the prosperity gospel.
Well, good for him.
Texas is home to some of the biggest megachurches. It's also home to the Trinity Foundation, a leading watchdog ministry founded by Ole Anthony that carries out investigations into some of the conduct of the biggest televangelists.
I mean, yeah, of course it would be in
East
Texas.
Dallas homeless ministry Trinity Foundation, who masterminded the investigation and helped expose some of the top televangelists
East
in
Dallas,
the
huh?
country.
You know,
Good for them.
Faith and religion are powerful things. Seeing the hope that it can fill a person with, or the community.
Stepped on Sandcastle, who would do such a thing.
Good causes. Now, I don't think anyone can look at those things on their own and say they're bad. A few months ago, I had burned out from working, and when that happened,
Instead of whatever even exists, it has to. We can't give up.
You know, what was the point?
Yeah.
And what helped was
There's
having
no
a
point.
sense of hope that those feelings would come to pass, and finding purpose in what I was doing, and spending time with my friends and family. Hope, purpose, and community. But hope, purpose, and community can be exploited. It can cloud your better judgment just because somebody dresses the part. Or
Featherhorn will be able to find us. Yep.
If you're somebody watching this that is a believer in the prosperity gospel, I invite you to
Favorite
think over and
bird
really
bat?
question, could I be wrong? A healthy skepticism, I think, only motivates someone to find the truth, not drift further away from it. Seek, and perhaps you will find.
That's a good ending. That was very good.
Preachers and mega churches is crazy. Then, my friends, you have to check out my documentary on New Age gurus. It should be shown somewhere on the screen. That is arguably where all of this kind of began to form and originate, and it is just a whole other rabbit hole in and of itself. But
I'll buy it. This guy's pretty good. Damn, nearly 2 million subs. Holy fuck.
before we begin, it's important that I emphasize a few disclaimers. By no means am I calling the individuals mentioned in this video.
We gotta go to the
scammers.
Dreadlands.
Consider
Oh
what
no!
you're about to see a criticism of their business practices and promoted ideologies, not an incitement of harassment or hate. I have no way of knowing their true intentions. It is entirely possible that those mentioned have created their teachings with good intent, no matter how misguided.
Born is over 300.
And whilst I will be including sources to back up every claim that I make, treat this video as my
This
own
is
opinion
interesting.
and conclusions surrounding the subject of New Age spirituality and New Thought related ideas. Now, to those who think I am criticizing anyone who is trying to make money, you have misunderstood my position. One look at my channel will show you I have no problem with somebody making money. However, I do take issue with the context surrounding how they make their money.
A lot of people actually were in my
True.
group were attending the events, the courses, in a hope to make money so that they could feed their family, but unfortunately they've lost it. So
New Age spirituality has seen incredible growth in the mainstream, having a huge influence on the self-help industry thanks to figures like Napoleon Hill, Rhonda Byrne, and others who I will be discussing further.
Secret.
But what
Ooh.
seemingly goes unnoticed is the booming business behind it that I think does more harm than good.
When you recognize your vibrational frequency, you're
What is-
drawing into yourself all the time, literally, the vibration that is most like what you're putting out.
Right. There was a woman
What does that mean?
who refused medical treatment because she believed it was secret.
In this video, we'll take a look at some of its most influential figures, its roots, and how it is fundamentally built from a flawed and dangerous disregard for reality. Now, it would be impossible for me to cover the entirety
Vibrational
of the New Thought
frequency.
movement in just one video. So bear in mind that there will be influential figures in this industry that I fail to mention or decide to cut. However, I want you to take notice of the patterns. From multi-level marketing to scammers to self-help to pseudoscience to subtle deception, I'll aim to demonstrate why I think New Age spirituality has inherently allowed itself to become the perfect grift.
He's absolutely right about that. It's a pretty cool little area. I like it. It reminds me of Skullman's stage.
Hey,
class exclusive all-wheel drive, a premium navigation.
This low everyday price is here to stay.
We'll get it approved in 30 minutes or less. I guarantee it.
Out of my greatest despair was to come the greatest gift. I couldn't believe all the people who knew this.
They're trying to turn away from it.
People in
It's
history.
good editing.
I began searching for people alive today who know the secret.
You know this secret gives you everything you want.
In 2006, Rhonda
There was some
The Secret
program made fun of that. I forgot what it was.
featuring various gurus
bother
who
me.
promoted an idea that could bring you health, wealth, and happiness. That idea was the law of attraction.
Everything that's coming into your life, you are attracting into your life. And it's attracted to you by virtue of the images you're holding in your mind. It's
A film that suggested being overweight came from thinking fat thoughts, or that the only reason a person does not have enough money is because they are blocking money from coming to them with their own thoughts.
The secret is the law of attraction.
It was a feel-good message. The film exceeded $65 million in sales and became something of a cultural phenomenon.
Have you heard about it? This is The Secret. Talk about this DVD has been spreading around
I think The Simpsons made fun of it.
They were telling me that the secret is real.
Joe Rogan.
Oh, The Secret. She was like, listen, babe, this is going to help us.
But what you are also witnessing here is the success of another kind. A success at rebranding an idea that had been cultivated for many years before Burns' film. Fast forward to present day, and you'll find no shortage of gurus promoting these same rehashed ideas.
The moment you start feeling abundant and worthy, you are generating wealth.
3 law of attraction truths that I wish I knew earlier.
Whatever you can see in your mind, you can hold in your hand. Whether you want to be a millionaire.
That guy looks like the guy from fucking
using your
Midsommar.
powers.
Here we establish the first pattern of this industry, targeting a vulnerable audience. Those who are struggling financially, having relationship problems, or suffering from a disease are particularly favourable.
Of course, they're
just
desperate.
searching for answers. This idea, this law of attraction, seems to serve up answers in such a simple yet idealistic way.
The truth is, you can actually get whatever you want in life. Whatever you can see in your mind, you can hold in your hand. Whether you want to be a millionaire, whether you want to
There's 3 ways to manifest money within 24 hours.
Shit.
The law of attraction may be the power you need.
When you're vulnerable or desperate, critical thinking is dull, and feeling and emotion cloud your decision-making abilities. So when you're presented this secret, a secret that promises to change your life with so little effort, what could possibly fault you for wanting to believe? The bait has been set, but you have to understand, the law of attraction is only one branch of a bigger belief system. To understand the problems with the ideas Rhonda presented, you have to examine the roots of where it all began. From here, you can trace the same patterns and the influence it's having over the gurus we see today. The New Thought movement is centered around a few key ideas. That we and everything in existence are essentially God, or at least we all have some level of divinity within us. Positive thinking has the power to carry forth manifestations into the material world. New Thought's supposed origins travel back to a man named Phineas Parkhurst Quimby, an American clockmaker born in 1802. Quimby became interested in the idea of using the mind as a way of curing people from illness and disease, after he himself had
Like placebo effect shit again.
tuberculosis through his own healing methods. His philosophy became the basis of New Thought. Quimby's teachings inspired many other authors and so-called philosophers to continue spreading and expanding on his message and the overall New Thought movement. In those years, New Thought focused on our mind's ability to heal us from illness and disease. It emphasized intuition, feeling, and anecdotal evidence rather than empirical science-based evidence. It wasn't, however, until the 20th century where the New Thought movement extrapolated this into wealth creation. The ideology is perfect. If our thoughts had the power to quite literally change the material world, surely they could manifest wealth, too. Then, a man named Napoleon Hill came right out of the blue with his first book, The Law of Success, and a decade later, his best-selling book, Think and Grow Rich. Up to this point, it's nigh impossible to tell what the intentions of most New Thought authors were. The ideas they presented in their works were logically flawed in many areas, some of which I have already discussed in the first installment of this series, others of which we will get into soon. But it's when we
chewing gum wrapper.
Napoleon Hill that the lines
what the
between
fuck is
good
this
intentions
treasure?
and con artistry are blurred, because Hill had an immense influence over many of the New Thought law of attraction gurus that have come since, having had his works promoted and circulated in countless business and self-help circles. I promise you, if you yourself haven't heard of this book, you know someone who has. But my question to you now is, how much do you really know about Napoleon Hill? Because if we take a dive into Hill's past, we notice that the reputation he's acquired amongst the New Thought movement is not at all what it seems. On the contrary, his true narrative is one of failed businesses.
Dude, that's a fucking weird looking crab.
Achievements.
Some nightmare fuel shit.
Think and Grow Rich echoes much of the New Thought sentiment, especially when it comes to the pursuit of riches, highlighting how our thoughts and our desires can be transmuted into their financial equivalent. Hill even goes as far as to use examples in which thoughts have been able to cure deafness, including his own son. This is a book that Napoleon claims he was tasked with creating after meeting one of the richest men in the world at the time, Andrew Carnegie, whereby Carnegie tasked him to interview some of the most successful men in business and learn the secrets to their success. But go a little further down that rabbit hole and you'll realize Hill may not be the person he is so commonly portrayed as by his fans or his own works. In 1907, 30 years before the release of Think and Grow Rich, Hill co-founded the Acre Hill Lumber Company in Mobile, Alabama. Only a year later, the Pensacola Journal reported that the company was liable to bankruptcy proceedings and charges of mail fraud. It turns out that Hill had bought lumber from outside of Mobile on credit before selling the lumber at a much lower price in cash. Eventually, creditors and other businesses were catching wind of the fraud, and in September of 1908, Hill was on the run from authorities.
So he just like got a credit card and didn't pay it
He spoke with Andrew
or
Carnegie.
something?
But according to Andrew Carnegie's biographer, there was, quote, no evidence of any sort that Carnegie and Hill ever met. In 1909, Hill initiated the Automobile College of Washington, a college that promised students to teach them how to build, chauffeur, and sell motor cars. Only it turns out this college was just a way of getting free labor for building cars.
How the fuck do I get in there?
The Motor World magazine in April 1912 called Hill's College a scam and a, quote, joke to anyone of average intelligence, listing the many insane claims that Hill's College had been making, along with its scheme of paying students $3 a head per any other student they had recruited into the college.
Oh, MLM, multi-level marketing.
Marketing scheme
Yeah,
we
okay.
might see today. The college eventually folded in 1912.
Gotcha.
But Hill wasn't finished trying to make a name for himself. And in 1915, he established a school called the George Washington Institute of Advertising, intending to teach the principles of success and self-confidence. Only 3 years later, 2 warrants had been issued for the arrest of Hill with charges of violating blue sky laws.
Shit.
Hill established the college with a $100,000 capitalization and attempted to sell the shares to investors, primarily his
It's
own
like
students,
Trump's
despite
college
the school's
that
assets
went
being
belly
worth
up.
at best $1,200. The school ended not long afterwards. And this only scratches the
Like
surface of
ITT
the
Tech.
other
I used to
things
work
that had
it
been
there. It was
invested.
awful.
Of course,
It was the
I
most
understand that
disgusting
the
thing I've
common
ever
will
done.
be. Napoleon Hill's book actually has value, and I myself have taken value from that book. Why should I care if the man himself had a fraudulent past? But that's the point, isn't it? If you were a grifter, then for the grifter to work, you must be able to provide some kind of truth. The strategy is simple yet so effective. gain the trust of your victim by preaching some level of truth, then subtly attach more extreme ideas to that truth until the victim can no longer recognize the difference. New Thought does this constantly.
It's like Mr. Beast, right? Maybe. We don't know.
It becomes a powerful force that can literally manifest material results. Health and disease, according to New Thought, can be cured simply through the power of our minds. Consider this. How many people have read and engrossed themselves in the teachings of Napoleon Hill? Hundreds, if not millions of individuals? But how many of them truly managed to achieve the financial success that they initially visualized on being tasked to do so when reading the book? Most, I'd wager, have likely not. Why is that?
It's like being a YouTuber or a streamer, right? Everyone thinks they can just turn on a camera and go.
Visualize wealth. Even taking action, which Hill admittedly does promote in his book, is no guarantee for financial success. Action increases probabilities, but for this to be a law, it must work every time. And yet,
I don't know if I do agree with that.
We can't measure thoughts and feelings, nor the supposed vibrations thoughts and feelings have.
That's
and that's
stupid.
just the thing. See? The best grift is the one that leaves the grifter blameless. Anyone right now can write a book or sell a program on the law of attraction. They can run ads targeting vulnerable consumers, and best of all, if their teachings don't work, the blame never falls on them. It's always
you didn't do it right.
You didn't believe enough. You weren't thinking positive enough. You had resistance. You weren't patient enough. Now, the price of a book doesn't seem daunting. If you only spend a few dollars and glean some value from it, then it seems rather harmless and possibly worth the money. But how would you feel if the price of said book was a figure much higher than just a few dollars? How would you feel about someone promoting a secret or guaranteed success for much larger amounts of money? Napoleon Hill's book has been an inspiration.
Don't worry, it's special. Okay, we got
it. Continues to grow, inspiring much of the self-help industry we're consumed by today. Two of which went by the names of Jerry and Esther Hicks.
We'd like to ask Abraham to speak to us.
Okay, it just takes a few seconds. I won't move much. It is nice to have the opportunity to visit.
Esther Hicks claims that she can channel an entity, or rather a group of entities known as Abraham Hicks, charging hundreds of dollars for their seminars and workshops.
Good morning.
Members of the audience are invited forward to pose a question to Esther, or more specifically, the Abraham entity she is supposedly channeling.
Hi, it's nice to see you again. Thank you again. And thank you to Esther.
Whilst Jerry sits at the side somewhere, taking notes, perhaps for their next book.
We want to say that in this book that is coming, there are 33 examples of all kinds of things that might happen in someone's life. And
shit.
Each of these examples.
Both
God damn it.
Esther and Jerry have authored countless books promoting the teachings of this Abraham entity, which are structured like a conversation between Jerry and Abraham, with the latter giving answers to life's most asked questions. Esther goes as far as claiming on her site that this is the original source material for the current law of attraction. In fact, many in the law of attraction community suggest that
it's a community. I guess there would be a community. There's a community for all kinds of crazy shit.
Teachings, and it's precisely because of Esther's reputation as the most authentic one out of the two that I think it's worth discussing her. Because upon closer inspection, we see that much of Hicks's teachings are exactly what we've come to understand from New Thought. I don't actually have to know whether or not Esther really is channeling an entity for me to be extremely skeptical of her work. The contradictions and problematic teachings speak far more to her legitimacy than any claims of channel. In Esther's book, The Law of Attraction, One such problematic teaching centers around the idea that a victim of a robbery is a co-creator of the violence inflicted upon them.
Oh,
Jerry
fuck
states,
up.
I can understand robbers being attracted to those they're robbing, but it's difficult to see innocent victims attracting
That's
the
like,
robbery, or the
oh,
victims being
somebody got
discriminated against
like
attracting
raped.
the
Oh, what were they
Hicks
wearing?
responds, they are just the same. The assaulted and the assaulter are co-creators of the event. If you think Hicks's response here is a one-off, you'd be mistaken. She emphasizes this point
So
numerous
fucking
times.
annoying.
Take a moment to truly consider the level of victim blaming and lack of accountability that such a position would lead to. Or, instead of a robbery,
That shit's
imagine
infuriating.
a child born into
Hey.
poverty who starves to
Upgrade?
death before the age of 5. According to Hicks's
Well,
teaching,
it was,
these
yeah,
children
he
were
did it.
creators of their fate. And this isn't a belief shared just by Hicks alone. This is a fundamental premise in all of New Thought. By this logic, we can say that the perpetrators of countless crimes shouldn't be held accountable. After all, they are just the product of their victims' vibrational frequency.
Yeah.
Any rational person can see the danger of this thinking. But as we've come to learn, for the preacher of such ideas, this logic is perfect. Because all who complain that they haven't been able to manifest health, wealth, abundance, or whatever dream we've sold them on, we can tell these people that it isn't the fault of our belief system that they didn't get what they wanted. It is in fact their fault. And as we peddle more of our workshops, write more of our books, we have an excuse each and every time someone attempts to challenge our ideas.
So, what we notice as we look into the medical profession today, we see doctors and scientists literally scaring people to death with their pronouncements of diseases that are incurable, when we know that there is not any disease that is incurable. You can get to where you want to be from wherever you are if you will point in the direction that you want to go and continue to move in that direction.
Esther Hicks, as we've already discovered with others in the New Thought movement, makes the claim that our thoughts and feelings, or our vibrational frequencies, can cure us of any disease. It seems odd then, or rather hypocritical, that her husband Jerry himself passed away from cancer in 2011. But this hypocrisy is something we'll see more of as we continue. Now, you might ask, why bother adding all the metaphysical and pseudoscientific ideas in the first place? If Esther and Jerry were truly trying to con people or just make a ton of money, wouldn't it have appealed to a bigger market if she simply passed herself off as a life coach, rather than turning potential customers off of her works by claiming that she could channel another entity?
But you,
however, disagree.
Yeah, you don't, like, those people that want to believe in that stuff are much, much easier to prey upon.
It's my opinion that the addition of spirituality and channeling is actually an incredibly clever marketing device, because now life advice turns into the teachings of Abraham. And if one wants to hear the teachings of Abraham, they must go to the source. They must go to the person who is claiming to channel this divine entity. This creates scarcity around Hicks's business of answering humanity's burning questions. And the scarcer the product, the more valuable it becomes. So when you're given an eye-watering price tag, no one bats an eyelid. It is my opinion that New Thought's use of spirituality and pseudoscience serves this exact purpose, allowing your teachings to seem more valuable in the marketplace. It is my opinion that the use of an Abraham entity is more of a marketing device than anything else, conceived from the foundation of Jerry Hicks's past career as a high-level distributor for the multi-level marketing company Amway, a company that preached ideas like the law of attraction and books like Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, because they recognized that in order to keep members inside the MLM scheme, they had to blame themselves if they didn't achieve the goals the MLM promised.
I didn't pay enough. I didn't
None of this stopped
do whatever.
Oprah from inviting Esther for an interview years later, just as she had done with Rhonda Byrne.
And that for over 20 years, Esther Hicks and her husband Jerry have been spreading the word of that so-called secret.
It didn't stop the Abraham Hicks money-making machine from running as usual.
Oh, did she try to expose them? I take back what I said then.
The Secret, just like Esther and Jerry's works, were repackaged ideas from the same root, New Thought. It was perfect, to promise you health, wealth, love, and abundance all in one go. To package it all under an umbrella of spirituality.
That once you discover the secret, that you can immediately start creating the life you want, whether it's getting out of debt, whether it's finding a more fulfilling job, even falling in love.
Rhonda's film earned her millions, and it gave an incredible boost to the careers of the supposed teachers it featured, allowing them to branch away from the franchise to run their own coaching businesses and cash in on spiritual retreats. But I remind you, New Thought is a belief system perfectly designed for grifters who don't care for the desperately ill, poor, and helpless who line their pockets, leading them to push incredibly dangerous ideas onto their victims.
But what if I just visualize checks coming in the mail? So I just visualize a bunch of checks coming in the mail. Within just 1 month, things started to change. And it's amazing. Today, I just get checks in the mail. I get a few bills,
they just come from nowhere.
But now serious questions
Imagine that.
are raised about his business dealings. In this exclusive investigation, Ben Fordham has found investors left high and dry and demanding justice.
A former student of Shermer's who spent $30,000 to learn about the stock market.
Part of the funds were supposed to be put into a trading fund, and David would then trade those funds on the futures stock market.
What happened to that fund?
Well, we don't know.
It's their money. They paid you the tuition fees.
It's not their money.
And you told them that you would take $5,000 out of each person's tuition and trade it on the market. And they would receive 50% of the profits. They never received any profits.
Did it ever go up?
That money, and come back
He's
to
done.
the question.
Where is the money?
It's gone.
Please answer the question.
The money, and as someone asked me
We're gonna
recently,
squirm.
Is the money, David?
Well,
Please answer the question. Where is the money?
He doesn't know.
Where is the money?
It's in the ether.
You tell me.
David Shermer has been permanently banned from providing financial services following his investigation. The ASIC.
Most people
He's
look at their
still
current state of affairs and they
continue
say, "This is
teaching the
who I
law of
am."
attraction.
That's not who you are. That's who you were. And so you must continually invest in yourself. You've got to grow in every single way.
Your money is nothing more than the amount of energy, paper energy, that you have in your pocket or purse.
Yeah, what's the problem? 2 people not breathing. No pulse.
The fuck?
Police are focusing their investigation on James Arthur Ray, the motivational speaker and self-help guru who ran
did
the
he off
5-day
himself?
retreat. Over 60 people were in the sweat lodge for 2 hours as the culmination of Ray's spiritual warrior retreat. It was pitch black inside and extremely hot. When it was over, 2 people were dead.
Kirby's life ended
Jesus.
while she was trying to improve it. That's when she found self-help guru James Arthur Ray.
I can help you. I really can.
The motivational speaker had already built a multi-million-dollar business, launched by the popular movie The Secret.
Mother,
She reached one of the highest level workshops, a retreat, which cost her her life savings,
God damn.
$10,000.
Do find the defendant, James Arthur Ray, on the offense of negligent homicide as a result of the death of Kirby Brown as follows. Guilty.
Yep. Well, good. He served 2 years and was released under supervision. He continues running his self-help business. 2
On
years.
November 23rd, I was
You want to put
diagnosed with breast cancer. I truly believe
value on life? It's 2 years in
with
jail.
my strong faith that I was already healed. I saw myself
Tell me I'm wrong.
as if cancer was never in my body. From the time I was diagnosed, which was November 23rd, to the time I was healed totally was approximately 3 months. And that's without radiation and chemotherapy.
Claims she healed herself from cancer using the law of attraction. Found out she died of breast cancer. Yep. Yep. And look, it's like not even the first thing that comes up. It's always Goodman's resilience. The grief of losing his second wife. Kathy Goodman passed away from... Yeah. And that's not even, like, on the front page, right? Any of these claims come from unqualified. You misspelled qualified.
Everything that you require. If it's money you need, you'll attract. If it's people you need, you'll attract. If it's a certain book you need, you'll attract.
Bob Proctor is a preacher of the law of attraction, appearing numerous times during Rhonda Byrne's film. But perhaps you may not know, Bob Proctor had also been a big promoter of the multi-level marketing company Vima, a company that specifically targeted universities, aiming to find teenagers and young adults who are filled with dreams of wealth and fame.
Here you create your own income. You can be 16 and make as much money as you want. You can be 85 and make as much money as you want. Why would you let somebody else tell you how much money you're worth? That doesn't make sense to me.
Bob Proctor made several appearances at their events, as his books were promoted amongst Vima's young distributors.
I introduced my own wife to the company, and she earns tens of thousands of dollars now. Now, I recommended that she join a company called Vima. And I recommended it because I know the man that owns the company. And there's a company I'm working with, Vima. And I'm working with the people worldwide. Because I'm going to tell you, this is one of the best opportunities for time and money freedom that you're ever going to find. The opportunity that you're looking at here with Vima will give you that. How can I explain an idea about Vima, about what a phenomenal product it is, but what a phenomenal compensation plan? Now, I've got a reputation that is worldwide. I wouldn't do anything to stain or do hurt my reputation.
In 2015, the company was shut down for essentially being a pyramid scheme. Alex Morton,
No, it's a triangle.
later went on to promoting a similar multi-level marketing scheme.
My name is Alex Morton, and I'm the executive vice president of iMarket 5.
Now, who else
I've seen that Office episode where Michael Scott
attending and speaking at their conferences?
like joins when he's like, it's not a pyramid. Jim goes over there and draws the triangle around it.
To join the IM Academy. There's such a phenomenal opportunity here.
But of course, this is no issue to Bob Proctor, as he can continue promoting these schemes whilst charging for his own self-help courses and programs.
And I
for all of you, the simplest way to sum up the law of attraction.
Get rich using the law of attraction on the 17-second manifestation.
You expand your awareness.
Favorite law of attraction and manifesting hacks.
Jesus.
$3.99 or 3 installments at
Got soggy fries. I'd still eat them. Yeah, hell yeah.
On how to manifest your significant other. Manifesting helps for the people in our lives. You want to manifest anything you want into your life. Be that.
Ask for a video on how to manifest someone.
Attract your twin flame.
Money, scarcity, manifestation, love.
Who's this?
It'll be nothing.
It's gonna walk up to me like it's nothing. What if I was a threat? I'd just hit you. Bam, right in the face.
It'll be their last perceived
417
lifeline.
hertz
A ticket to
frequency.
escaping
That's like an
debt,
A.
A ticket to repairing relationships.
440
a ticket
hertz,
to curing
right?
themselves of a disease. And we'll see the same pattern repeat itself again and again of those searching for miracles and those selling them.
Because I know I was absolutely broken. It's the only way I can put it into words. I was broken because of my experience.
How much money did you lose?
Hey, CoffeeZilla.
All in all, the guts of £10,000. I know, it's sick.
Former
And
student
as a
of
single
Loa,
parent,
sure, yeah.
That's gotta be devastating.
Devastating is a bit of an understatement.
Yep. Hey, I've been there.
What
Still am there.
law of attraction or new thought when you realize that positive thinking, visualizations, meditation, affirmations are all tools that exist separately from this belief system? When you strip away all these tools from neutral, then perhaps you see it in a truer light. An unhealthy glorification of positivity with a lack of care for real science, opting instead for anecdotes and unfalsifiable claims. Of course, science isn't able to explain everything yet. The problem stream of consciousness is a real one.
Science isn't a body of knowledge. It's a way of
doesn't seem truly interested in these ideas.
Parsing through knowledge and discovering the truth about things.
That dumbs down complicated issues like a daily life or disease into metaphysical pseudoscientific concepts. It uses spirituality to avoid harsher realities about the world at large. It is guilty of the just world fallacy, assuming that positive actions will lead to positive consequences.
Now,
completely ignoring the fact that sometimes those who are optimistic and positive all their lives can be run down and taken advantage of, whilst other...
Now, with that though, in like karma and stuff, there is like a general idea of if you're good, generally you would think good things would happen to you. It's like hanging with the good crowd or whatever, you know, and if you're doing shitty things are going to happen to you, right? So it's not like, it's not quantifiable though.
Other individuals who are morally bankrupt advance successfully in their careers with no repercussions.
Yeah.
It's easy to fall into thoughts overly optimistic and naive painting of life. I know this because I myself have done so. In a video on this very channel, I promoted the works of Eckhart Tolle. And although Tolle's books steer more towards Eastern and Taoist philosophy, I didn't realize that what I was promoting was still a gateway into new thought. My message here is not that you should abandon your goals, visions, or dreams, but that you should be wary of an industry that uses unfalsifiable claims and an unimaginable amount of pseudoscience to generate millions in revenue.
This is a good video. This is an amazing video.
It should be honed and practiced. From looking at the New Thought movement's tendency to attract those who have questionable intentions, to its incredibly harmful claims about health and medicine, and its constant habit of victim blaming, it should be met with extreme scrutiny. And a series like this isn't going to stop this ever-growing industry. So my hope is that it gets you to see another side to this.
Yeah, if it can help, like, at least somebody
you know
somewhere.
who does. Because at some point,
It's kind of worth it, you know?
You will encounter new thoughts or new age spirituality, whether it be on the train home from work, while talking to a friend, or scrolling through your social media feed. If this series gets you to do anything in that moment, it's this. To stop and think critically. No matter how vulnerable your situation, to not let someone bypass your reason and logic. To be able to spot when someone is promising you a dream, to spot when someone is presenting you a crumb of truth so that you accept their larger, more extreme claims as true too. To spot all of this and through the illusion. An illusion masquerading as truth, using pseudoscience, spirituality, and a feel-good message as bait. And that, my friends, brings
a great video.
End of this video and series. Before you click off, if you haven't already seen it, part 1 will be linked in the description below. Goes without saying again that this isn't about.
I actually have not seen that, and I will watch it right now. Is it the multi-level marketing cult thing? Let's see. Oh, okay, no. Man, this guy has a bunch of good shit. Glad I found him. Law of attraction, yeah, I mean gravitational attraction, right? GMM over R squared.
Begins with a seemingly simple, innocent idea.
Okay, Q1, Q2 over R squared.
Thinking positive will bring about positive experiences into one's life. With mainstream promotion of the idea, with celebrities promoting it, entire careers based around teaching it, surely there's merit to the law of attraction. But the further you go down that rabbit hole, the less innocent things become.
I had friends that were telling me that the secret is real.
Law of attraction, manifestation, how to effectively manifest your dream life.
You work hard, and then even if you do that, it's not guaranteed. Believe me.
The law of attraction is no longer a fringe concept. It very much has successfully infiltrated the mainstream. In this 2-part series, I'll be investigating the law of attraction as both an idea and the profitable industry behind it. Because what begins as an innocent idea that most can get behind quickly turns into a tool for gaslighting, cults, and material harm.
Can you like upgrade even beyond this? I don't even know.
This video was made possible by our sponsor, Trends, which to those of you who are interested in entrepreneurship, running your own business, or just genuinely want to inform yourself on these things are gonna love, because with a Trends subscription, you get access to the ultimate knowledge hub and a community of industry thought leaders in virtually every field. Trends is a part of The Hustle, which is a daily business and technology newsletter that's read by 1 million users a day. And with Trends, you get a first look at emerging markets, which is great if you're looking for a new business.
Shit, I didn't know those special weapons also.
You also get exclusive access to their content library, which includes
I didn't know those.
lectures from experts who teach things like growth strategies, SEO, or
those were different as well. Well, fuck me, it doesn't matter now, does it?
Trends also gives you the opportunity to workshop your ideas and network with other entrepreneurs and investors. So, if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, join the Trends community.
Fucking around and I lost it all.
$1 by going to trends.co/James Janney. The link will also be in the description.
How have I never heard of this dude? It's
But with that being
crazy.
said, let's dive right back into the video. It's important that before we fully begin to understand the problems with the law of attraction, we understand what its fundamental claims and beliefs are. And so allow me to give you an overview, as unbiased as I can possibly be.
Okay. Alright, well, I can't go down there. That was not a great place to put those. They got me. I got baited on that one. I'll take the L.
Everything in the universe is energy, moving and vibrating at their own frequencies.
Yeah.
And so too are our thoughts and feelings.
Sure.
Whatever frequency your thoughts and feelings are vibrating at, you will attract that of which is vibrating on the same frequency. Just like
what does that mean?
Where when tuned to a certain frequency, we can hear only the songs that
Yeah,
are being
but
played on that
like
frequency.
even that, it's like
Your
what
life
thoughts
is much
for
the same.
like what?
When you set your intentions into the universe, and you begin to think and feel on the same vibration as that of which you desire, it is that which vibrates on the same frequency that you will attract and manifest.
What's the
into your life,
frequency
whether
of
it's
like
happiness or relationships.
mad
It is
thought
by
or
thinking
something?
and feeling as though these things are already yours that you will begin attracting these things into your life. You've done it yourself. Remember those moments where you had a goal or set intention in mind, and seemingly out of nowhere the right person appeared at the right time and place that helped you inch closer to or achieve that goal. When things just seemingly aligned in the universe, where random occurrences like meeting your best friend by chance couldn't just be explained by luck alone. The truth is,
It's
you manifested these things into your life.
That's I've talked about that before too. That's like humans have this ability to see patterns where there are none. Like that's how we're so smart. But it's also like a detriment because, well, like I said, we'll see patterns and organize things and categorize things. And, but then there are times when we'll see patterns which bear no meaning, and a lot of people don't know like the difference between that. So like I teach astronomy and I go through this big spiel of like astrology being like complete nonsense because it is. Somebody will be like, oh, well, I got a job the other day and my horoscope said I'll have big changes coming. It's like, okay. How many times has it said that you haven't been affected by that? You know, nobody ever thinks of that.
Isn't that a powerful thing? To know that by aligning your thoughts and feelings to that of which you want, you can manifest and make those things a reality. And just as positive thoughts and feelings attract positive manifestations towards you, so too will negative thoughts and feelings. When your predominant thoughts and feelings are of debt, relationship issues, and negativity, you will attract those things into your life. The truth is that you can change your reality by changing your thoughts and feelings. The world is abundant with joy, love, and peace. Align your thinking and your feeling with that abundance. Leave the touches of scarcity thinking, and your life too will be filled with abundance.
Only it were that simple. Life be grand.
If Before we tackle this idea and the problems it creates, it's first important to understand what makes it so alluring. Positive thinking, the idea that you can change your life circumstances by changing your thoughts and your feelings, visualizing those goals that you have for yourself, truly being able to see clearly what it is that you want from life. These things are not necessarily bad. It's important before we continue that we make this distinction. Positive thinking, having set goals, visualizations, affirmations, meditating, they all have their own place. But that isn't what I'm talking about here. The law of attraction takes these things and adds an element of spirituality to it all. For some of you, the law of attraction already comes off as absurd. But understand that its popularity and the money that flows in this industry is high. When you have people making so much money off something like this, then it's worth investigating the ideologies these individuals
They're making bank.
You think? Because at the heart of this all lies a bigger problem. The problem that underpins self-help, gurus, new age spirituality, and success itself. To those of you that already believe in the law of attraction or things of that nature and are not willing to have your beliefs questioned or criticized, then I would advise not continue. My only question now is, how willing are you to follow me down this rabbit hole?
Got some Matrix shit here.
The law of attraction has a central claim to its belief that your thoughts and feelings vibrate on a frequency and that this vibration is able to, quote, attract vibrations of a similar frequency.
So stupid. It's the dumbest shit ever. Like, as a physicist, this is so fucking dumb.
Statement is true. So, is it? After all, wasn't Einstein who said everything is energy and that's all there is to it? Match the frequency of the reality we want and you cannot hope to get that reality. It can be no other way. This isn't philosophy, this is physics. Except, it never did.
Yeah.
Despite the quote being cited amongst law of attraction believers, these words were never actually uttered by Einstein. Although just a small example,
Most
this
aren't.
subtle deceit and distortion of the facts seems to be a recurring theme the more you dive into the law of attraction. Pseudoscience consists of statements, beliefs, or practices that try to claim legitimate bearings in science using words like law or vague references to quantum science to make it sound valid. Of course, pseudoscience.
Those people don't even know what the fuck a Dirac delta function
Which
is.
is what turns it into pseudoscience in the first place.
Yeah.
It cannot be proven.
Probably don't even
but
know how to
deceit
fucking
can be rather
differentiate
easy
X
in the age of
squared.
the internet. A quick Google search of do your thoughts and feelings have a frequency will produce an answer box that states every thought and emotion has its own vibrational frequency or wavelength. The title of this article is The Quantum Mechanics of Changing Thoughts. But if one was to investigate further, we see that the article was written by, quote, Dr. Kim and Dr. Hill, who are both authors of the site itself. On their site, they state that, quote, together they have over 20 qualifications in holistic modalities, including biofeedback, neurolinguistic programming, Tibetan Buddhism psychology, hypnosis, energy psychology, coaching, visualization, and meditation. Note, however, the lack of a scientific background. More specifically, the lack of any qualifications in
Or
physics,
any
quantum
math or
physics. But
anything.
looking back at the
Even
original
qualifications
we
don't
see
matter.
that it
Like,
is
smart
filled with
people don't
assumptions
need
and easily
qualifications,
falsifiable
but
claims.
where's, like, the proof? Where's the evidence? That's all I care about. I give a shit if you have a degree saying you went to school for it or
Also
not.
contains a sublink to another article titled, quote, Quantum Mechanics and Your Authentic Potential. In this article, they make reference to a
This
study
shit's gonna
by
piss me
Dr.
off, I already
Masaru
know it.
Emoto. Emoto's study is commonly cited when attempting to prove the scientific basis for the law of attraction, or the idea that thoughts and feelings are able to affect the physical world. Emoto claimed that our emotional energies and vibrations could change the physical structure of water. His experiments consisted of exposing water in glasses to different words, pictures, or music, and then freezing and examining the crystals that formed. Emoto claimed his experiments showed that water exposed to positive speech and thoughts would result in visually pleasing crystals being formed when the water was frozen, and that negative thoughts and intentions would yield to ugly frozen crystal formations.
It's hexagonal. Like, that. Man's never taken a solid state physics class in his life.
And Takeshiro Shizuka. The study was then published in the journal Explore the Journal of Science and Healing. So, was Emoto really onto something? Once more, the level of deceit lies beyond the surface. Dean Radin, a participant in Emoto's study, is also the co-editor-in-chief of the journal Explore the Journal of Science and Healing, the very same journal that the studies were published in. and explore is the heavily criticized by the scientific community for the content it publishes, described as a quote, sham masquerading as a real scientific journal. Emoto's initial double-blind study was in fact badly carried out, and when a follow-up triple study was conducted to repeat the test, it showed an even less significant outcome and acknowledged the difficulties of properly controlling the experiment. Dr. Emoto himself is technically not a doctor. He is a doctor of alternative medicine at the Open International University of Alternative Medicine in India.
There it is. What's that?
A quote, university that specifically targeted quacks and sold them fake degrees. Emoto was also personally invited to take the $1 million paranormal challenge.
Oh yeah,
Randy,
hell yeah.
that promised to pay out $1 million to anyone that could
Amazing Randy, hell yeah.
Paranormal ability under agreed upon scientific
Did he
testing
do it?
criteria.
Did he do it?
Emoto did not participate.
Imagine. Ooh, that's weird. That's
Once
super
more,
weird.
A prevailing theme around the supposed science of the law of attraction are controversies, criticisms, and deceit.
Oh, I missed map?
Quantum physics or brainwaves from individuals that are seemingly
fuck.
unqualified to talk on the subject. It isn't a surprise that the law of attraction is considered a pseudoscience and isn't taken seriously in any form of mainstream science. To the average person, references to these scientific terms often go unchecked and unverified, because whoever is informing you sounds like a figure of authority on the subject by virtue of just mentioning words like quantum. And that's the point, isn't it? Because the issues of the law of attraction doesn't stop at the science. Even if we cannot prove its existence through the scientific method, there remains fundamental flaws in its promoted ideology. Flaws that lay the land for people with questionable intentions.
That's why I say, like, don't believe me. I'm just telling you what I know. What I've learned.
There is
Find it out for yourself.
Of the law of attraction. Suppose you were to ask me the question, James, why don't you actually attempt to give the law of attraction a try for yourself, as opposed to just listening to the criticisms and science?
Rise
Why
and
don't
shine,
you give
P-Man.
visualizations, affirmations, thinking on the level of that of which you would like to attract into your life a chance? And suppose I truly did go through with this idea for a week, for a month, a year, or even a decade.
How long do you have to do it?
Two scenarios may occur. Either I manifest that of which I wanted into my life, or I don't, which in and of itself can be subjective. Let's assume that I don't receive from the universe that of which I wanted to attract. I then come back to you years later and tell you of my findings. What do you suppose, if you were a believer in the law of attraction, your response
you didn't believe hard enough.
The reason the LOA is not working is because you don't believe it works.
Hey,
Conscious resistance or blockage or barrier.
You are
imagine that.
really weighing your energy down with a ton of resistance.
You are manifesting probably the absence of something you want.
Uh-oh.
It is crucial to brainwash that subconscious, to wind away that negativity.
And herein lies the problem. Attraction is at its core unfalsifiable, and unfalsifiable claims or ideas pave the way for those with bad intentions. To show you a program where falsifying completely and utterly blameless. Isn't that just convenient? The second part of the series is
shit.
I'm aware that for those of you who truly do believe in the law of attraction, your convictions may remain unwavering. How could it be wrong? What could possibly explain those events in which my thoughts and feelings were so aligned that I only manifested? How can anything explain this concept?
Everything I wrote on the has not true. But what influences
Shit.
What about the celebrities and the successful people that credit the law of attraction to their success? They can't be lying. They genuinely do use the law for themselves. Jim Carrey, Will Smith, Oprah Winfrey, Russell Brand, Conor McGregor.
Jim Carrey is like a weird dude, though. I mean, he's funny as fuck, and I love him, but he's a weird dude.
Error made when you concentrate on the people or things that made it past some selection process and begin to overlook those that did not. Sure, there are some famous and successful people that follow the law of attraction to their success. But what about the 99% of those who in the law of attraction that fail to get anywhere near that level of success in their lives? Conveniently, we can lay out a bunch of justifications
the fuck? Oh, I hit the. God damn it.
Multifaceted culture. These individuals may have been stating their intentions into the world, visualizing their goals, affirming themselves. None of these things were necessarily the roadmap that paved their success. That upbringing, partners, countless other factors at play. Why make that logical leap into assuming the law of attraction is the affirmation? Confirmation bias also seems to be right.
There it is. That's what I said.
Someone who Conor McGregor is affirming the law of attraction, his success, fight, and completely ignore the losses. He also manifest his losing fight against Khabib. Of course, the law of attraction may suggest that such a loss was necessary for McGregor to manifest success in the future, or that McGregor wasn't truly aligning his thoughts and feelings with his intentions. The answer must simply be that the law of attraction doesn't exist, that the reasons for McGregor's loss are to do with countless other variables.
Okay, you cannot kill those. Good to know.
But what about those moments when you truly did set your focus on something and seemingly coincidental occurrences or opportunities appeared out of nowhere? The beta Meinhof phenomenon is an effect that arises when your awareness of something increases. And suddenly your awareness is all over the place. Sometimes referred to as red car syndrome, after red cars everywhere all of a sudden after purchasing your own, even though nothing.
I didn't know what that was called. That's actually really interesting.
For example, an apple. Let me ask you, while watching this video, how many instances did you notice the image of an apple with the word apple? How about you take another?
Interesting. Sneaky. Is that actually in there? He's fucking with me. It's gotta be fucking with me. That definitely said like Einstein, didn't it? Surely. God fucking damn it.
Law of attraction believers may, however, cite something like the beta Meinhof phenomenon as proof that their thoughts and feelings are able to manifest or attract that of which they desire. Really desire the intentions and the universe of one individual digits.
Maybe.
It seems like
I hate apples though.
Words apply motivated reasoning to their logic. They start with a conclusion and to find anything to justify it.
Hell yeah. Fuck you, you fish.
Now, imagine combining all of these biases with the fact that many turn the law of attraction into an actual identity and a core belief system.
Oh, there is
Combine the
much
emotional
more.
and financial
Holy
investment
shit.
people place into such a belief, and it becomes abundantly clear. Of course you want to believe in the law of attraction when you have invested so much into it. Of course you're not going to be willing to find a way in which you could possibly be wrong or willing to accept that you're wrong. So that leaves us with one last rebuke.
Yeah? You were gonna ask me
What's the
something?
problem,
Oh, I
James?
lost my train of thought.
Why not let people believe in the law of attraction? It's doing them no harm after all, right? If this were true, then this video would
Rapports.
likely not have been made. The only problem is, it isn't.
Foreign? I could ask you the same thing. The whole aging thing may be foreign to you. Not ready to kick off the old
It
bucket
may
just
be
yet.
hard to spot the red flags initially, because after all, the concept begins with something that sounds like a truthful statement. Think and feel positive, and you will attract positive. But remember, the inverse applies to this too. That thinking and feeling on a, quote, negative vibration will also attract negative manifestations into
That's
your life.
me.
We can likely all agree that it's best to think positively, or
Where's
that
the
optimism
apple?
has its place in
It's a
living
very
happy
yellow
life.
apple.
But we would never expect someone to be feeling great all the time, or at least we would never try to place that burden on someone else. We understand that it's okay to feel bad, and guilting ourselves for feeling this way doesn't seem to be practical, nor does it seem healthy. But consider emotions and thoughts through the lens of an individual who believes in the law of attraction. Why do you feel low? Why
You're
is that?
insane.
Is it because you were vibrating on a negative frequency? When your day doesn't seem
What
to
is
be
a
going
negative
well,
frequency?
Why is that? Is
It doesn't
because
even
you
make
were the one
sense,
that
like,
manifested these
conceptually.
things? If you haven't achieved your goals yet, is it because of your own failure to be thinking and feeling on the same frequency as that of which you are trying to attract into your life? Underpinning much of the law of
Horizon
attraction
didn't always look
community
so
is this
scary and
notion of
depressing.
blame.
Oh, it's a
That
city.
when things haven't gone your way, at the heart of it, you are to blame. And no matter how hard someone may argue that the law of attraction doesn't suggest you should feel guilty when you are, quote, vibrating on a lower frequency, the very idea that you are at fault is a
Was an
fundamental
attack
premise
50
in the law
years
of
ago?
attraction. When you have an unfalsifiable belief like this, you quite literally begin to gaslight yourself. Because behind everything that happens to you or your surroundings is that recurring question: did I manifest this into my life?
Yeah.
How willing then would you be
fucked
as
up.
a believer on the law of attraction to embrace negative emotions? How willing would you be to accept a bout of depression? How willing would you be to suppress such emotions or thoughts on the basis that they'll ruin your, quote, vibe?
That's
Imagine
really who
the
I suspect it
psychological harm
is.
that a belief system like this could cause.
Oh,
and
for
the
sure
level of
you'd be
paranoia
killed.
that entails it. The law of attraction enables itself to be a blameless
Damn,
entity,
she's
where
old.
all blame falls on its believers. Is it a surprise then when I tell you that it makes appearances in countless multi-level marketing companies?
How to succeed
No.
in MLM using law of attraction.
Is it a surprise that the law of attraction is designed perfectly for cult-like thinking? Because once more, any critical thinking or doubts you have are encouraged to be suppressed.
Don't believe it works.
What's holding me back is a subconscious resistance or blockage or
Then how can you, like, remedy that if it's subconscious?
Weighing your energy down with a ton of resistance.
You are manifesting probably the absence of something you want.
It is crucial to brainwash that subconscious.
Any failure
Spooky.
to reach the goals required by a cult or multi-level
Only
marketing
it doesn't
company
look like he's
falls not
lying
at the feet of
anymore.
the company, but at your very own. It's here where material harm in the law of attraction begins to
The
show.
mushroom.
But it doesn't stop here either. Because the law of attraction extrapolates itself into the world of medicine and health too, where it claims that disease and illness can be blamed on your very own vibrations. In Rhonda Byrne's
Yeah,
film The
that's a-
Secret, a film
yeah.
that popularized the law of attraction at the mainstream level, there are several examples and quotes that allude to the fact that disease like cancer
Ambrosia
can be cured through the
Forest.
idea of positive thinking. It is here where material harm surpasses psychological barriers
Golden
and
mushroom
leads its
with
way
that
into
old
fatal
tail.
consequences. It is here where something that initially sounds so harmless takes a darker, more serious turn. Positive thinking and optimism, visualizing your goals, affirmations, meditation are all on the surface level reasonable and arguably beneficial habits. But is it possible
Sure.
to strip these things away from the law of attraction along with any pseudoscience that comes with it? Is it possible to view these things on their own and to see them for what they are? Not a roadmap to success or a secret to winning the game of life, but a helpful tool? If so, then there is one question that seemingly remains. When we look at the law of attraction, who is it that stands to gain off of something like this? Who benefits from being blameless? Who are the real winners of this ideology? Because make no mistake, this is no small business.
Yeah.
I had friends that were telling me that the secret is real.
There's this cult around Napoleon Hill, but in reality, he was just a scam artist.
But what you don't realize is they are being groomed. They are part of the scam, or they don't even realize it. You know, that's how good these guys are.
Zima and Lava Attraction basically go hand in hand.
You gotta break through the logic. You cannot let logic control you. Logic is bad for us.
Oh my god, that shit is so fucking aggravating. People saying that. It's just pure manipulation.
It's the only way I can put it into words. I was broken because of my experience.
Just pure fucking manipulation. It's so gross. That was a really good video too. Damn, yeah, his shit is really good. Let's see. Shit, this is pretty dark. Let's watch that. Why not? Disaster-thon.
London Grace Eisenbeis finally got her chance to ride the Superloop speed ride at Zender's Splash Village on the 27th of February, 2018. She had looked forward to that moment for 2 years.
That looks fun.
After dropping through the trapdoor, she slipped into a coma, never gaining consciousness again. This would result in a massive legal battle in which her parents claimed that her life could have been saved. But what exactly happened that day? Let's talk about
crazy.
it. This is the infamous death of London Eisenbeis. London Grace Eisenbeis was born to parents Jerry and Tina Eisenbeis on June the 1st, 2007, in Grand Blanc, Michigan. Grand Blanc is a city located in Jackson County. She was described as a happy, spirited young girl. Her father said she had a unique way of making people laugh, not by putting them down, but by lifting them up. London was a 5th grade student at Myers Elementary School, and her favourite thing to do was gymnastics. Even at a young age, she took up roles in the student council and safety patrol at her school, and she was well liked by her classmates, who remembered her love for cats, Instagram, and her kindness. 2 years prior to the incident in 2006,
more than me.
London, along with her family, went to Zender's Splash Village in Frankenmuth, Michigan, during a family holiday. When there, she was instantly captivated by the Superloop speed ride. Unfortunately, she was too small to ride at the time.
That does look pretty fun. I
She
want to
dreamed
go
about
into an
riding
indoor
inside
water
and
park.
finally get that opportunity in February 2018.
It seems like the best possible thing. No sun. Hell yeah.
Frankenmuth is a massive tourist trap village in Michigan, known for its strong German heritage and Bavarian-style architecture. In June of 2005, the Zender's Splash Village Water Park Hotel opened in Frankenmuth to the public. It was designed and built by the new line and quickly became one of the main attractions in the area. The indoor water park spans over 50,000 square feet and is open year-round, featuring a variety of water slides, a lazy river, and a large splash play area designed for young children. By far the most popular ride at Zender's Splash Village is the Superloop Drop Ride. A drop water slide is an attraction featuring a steep, almost vertical descent that creates a free-fall sensation for riders. The experience typically begins with riders standing on a trapdoor platform within a launch capsule. When the trapdoor opens, they are
That
swiftly
seems
propelled
like that
into
would
the slide,
like be
plunging down the steep
incredibly
drop
like
before transitioning
nerve-wracking.
into a gentler slope or series of curves, ultimately ending with a splash and pool below. On the Superloop, riders are dropped into a vertical chute, which transitions right into a 360-degree turn. The ride is engineered so the curves are smooth, and it even won 2 awards for the best new water park ride. The slide is 273 feet long, and the minimum height is 48 inches. When London visited the park when she was 8 years old, she was below the height restriction, but when the family returned 2 years later, she was tall enough to ride and simply couldn't wait. On the 27th of February, 2018,
Here comes the tragedy.
10-year-old London, along with her sister and parents, visited Zender's Splash Village during a family trip to Frankenmuth. It was President's Day weekend, and the 2 sisters had begged their parents to take them to the park, in which they obliged. In a video recording, 45 minutes before she got onto the ride, London tells the camera, "We're going to get some footage of the water slides, so stay tuned for more videos." Once the family arrived at the park, London and her father headed straight towards the Superloop drop slide, where she got into the queue.
Been waiting for that for what, 2 years or some
and
shit?
could not wait to get on. Her mother Tina did not go with them, and instead waited back for them to return. At 5:20 p.m, London finally got to the front of the queue, stepped inside, and braced herself for the fall. The door opened, and she was sent down with a scream and smile on her face.
Yeah.
However, at the end of the slide, she exited unconscious.
That would
The
be
lifeguard at the bottom of the slide
fucking
immediately knew
horrifying.
something was wrong and pulled London out of the pool. He then placed her in a dry area on the side. An eyewitness saw this unfold and told the lifeguard that she was a physician certified in cardiovascular life support, offered to perform CPR on the girl as they waited for emergency services. However, this offer of assistance was refused by the employees at the park. Shockingly, it took the employees over 10 minutes to call for assistance, which did not arrive until 5:37 p.m.
Seems like the Sarah Lynn shit on BoJack Horseman.
Meanwhile, her mother Tina had heard a whistle go off as children were being evacuated from the poor area. She said, "I was like, oh, there's probably some kids messing around." But within maybe minutes, I started to see women look terrified. One woman was walking with 2 children, grabbing them. She said, "Somebody's drowned over there." I kind of got nervous. Tina walked over to the slide area, where she was met with a horrific scene. She said, "Jerry was looking down, and there were sheets up, and I knew it was one of my kids. It was an awful thing." The medics put London into an ambulance. She was unconscious and not breathing. In the ambulance, the medics managed to get her breathing again, but sadly, she never regained consciousness. She died in February of 2018 in the University of Michigan's Hospital's intensive care unit. It was confirmed in the aftermath that London's cause of death was cardiac arrest and respiratory failure with anoxic
So
brain
she had like a heart
Media
attack,
headlines
kinda?
read that the girl literally died from excitement. What makes this story more tragic is that absolutely no one even knew that London had a heart condition in the first place. While she was in the hospital, doctors found out that she had a heart condition known as QT syndrome, which can cause irregular heartbeat. Most people with QT syndrome don't know they have it until it's too late.
Yeah.
Whilst in the hospital, London once more
Damn.
went into cardiac
That's
arrest
so sad.
and suffered brain damage, ultimately resulting in her death. Her mother said, "London looked at her dad, gave to him a smile, went down the slide, and came
Damn.
out in cardiac arrest. The excitement threw her rhythm. The slide she went down has a heartbeat sound at the top. My husband said it was even scarier. Who would have ever thought she would come out the bottom without one?" The parents of
Jesus.
London were rightfully angry that park staff didn't react in a better way, and a year after her passing, they filed for a wrongful death lawsuit against Splash Village.
Yeah, but
The lawsuit stated that Zenda's Splash Village claimed its lifeguards were certified by the American Red Cross in First Aid, CPR, and Emergency Oxygen Administration, but in reality, they had no idea what to do. They also said that they claimed to have multiple automated external defibrillators accessible for employee use, but staff failed to use one.
Golden
If
mushroom.
they had used a defibrillator quicker, her life would have been saved. The family sued for damages exceeding $25,000, which they considered reasonable compensation for the pain and suffering they endured. They also sued for reimbursement for medical, hospital, funeral, and burial expenses, along with all other damages recoverable under the Michigan Wrongful Death Act. However, Zenda's Splash Village rejected this. They denied London was placed in a dry area after being removed from the pool, and refuted the claim that a physician's help was refused. They also claimed that there was only one defibrillator in Splash Village, and 2 in the entire hotel complex, and that using one was not warranted in that situation. The results of this lawsuit was never released to the public, but her mother always stood by it, saying, "You have to respond. You don't have time to wait. I think people are afraid of using defibrillators, but they are very easy to use. They are what is needed to build the rhythm." Since this whole terrible ordeal,
That's
Tina
awful.
and Jerry went on to establish a non-profit foundation called London Strong, which offers lessons on how to use defibrillators and raises money to put them around communities. They said Tina will live on through the foundation. She was ultimately laid to rest at Evergreen Cemetery in Michigan. One of her friends said, "She was such a beautiful, life-changing woman. She was an inspiration to me and many others, but the one thing that always stood out was her kind heart."
Damn.
And may she rest in peace. As always, this is not an AI channel, I do everything myself, and if you appreciate my work,
All right,
subscribe.
I will be back